All right, so how's it going today? Once again, I thought I'd do another video today about an article I saw that was a little bit disturbing, but I just had to think about it a little bit. All right, you guys know Pastor Jamal Bryant. Okay, he has a church out there, New Birth. Okay, that was previously ran by Eddie Long. All right, which is deceased now, and I've heard that a lot of unfavorable things about Eddie Long, that bishop. But anyway, he is the pastor of that church now, and I saw the podcast where he publicly admitted about having ideas to sell weed in the church. Okay, now I'm thinking if you're a man of the cloth, you know clearly. All right, you know clearly that business is not conducted in the church. All right, the scriptures in John the 2nd chapter and then Matthew 11. All right, that speaks on this. I do remember seeing that when I went, uh, got my went to Divinity College myself. About Yahshua was angry because people were doing business in the church, and he had to do what he had to do to clean the church. They were talking about in the Gospel of John was speaking of selling animals and vegetables in the church, okay, for sacrifice. Okay, I mean, it's something that when you donate out of the heart, okay, to be able to take care of the church. All right, just so you know that the church is not a building, you are the church. It's the body. The church is the body. Okay, and that's one thing. It's just certain things that it's just certain things are just not allowed in the church. You can't be a man of the cloth and try to, I don't know, they say shun, as let's see, in the Proverbs, try to shun immorality or shun, okay, and we've all fell short of the glory, okay, but we're talking about this specific uh, topic here. One thing that I thought that would be a good idea for starters is, because I understand that he has a lot of land around the church, okay, and many Israelites and Jews, they did have crafts. They were farmers. Some were they did different trades. They sold stuff. You know, even Yahshua himself, which is Jesus, okay, in Latin terms, he was a carpenter. Paul, the prophet, was a tent maker. Okay, Matthew was a tax collector. That type of thing. Luke was a doctor. Yes, they had trades. Okay, I would think that it probably wouldn't be anything wrong with having other crops on the church, vegetables, that type of thing. Maybe if they could raise clean animals like lamb, okay, or goat. All right, uh, with the open property that they have, then I think those are good ideas. Now I think that Pastor Brian does have some good ideas that he wants to employ younger black men that are interested in the agrarian uh, field. Okay, those are some good ideas for starters. Okay, maybe since they're in Georgia, they could plant peanuts. Okay, in my family, on my grandparents' side, we have probably 140 acres out there in Georgia. Myself, you look at my roots. My grandparents and great grandparents are from right outside of Albany. It's called Blakely, Georgia. Okay, before many of them migrated up north to Philly and New York, Jersey, and all that. Okay, I'm from Virginia myself. My dad was from Philly, and so forth. All right, but you know, we had sugar cane, peanuts, um, different stuff. See, so being that they're in Georgia, I think that those crops, are good for starters. Pecans. In fact, we still have the land, and I was even asked, all right, to help maybe invest into pecans and that type of stuff. Actually, pecans are $6 a pound. Okay, and I think with 6 trees alone, All right, you can grow something like my cousin told me like $3,500 or whatever pounds or something to that effect. Okay, you figure out the math. Okay, a year, but they take 12 years for it to mature. Those ideas are good. Okay, but with weed, okay, being that it's legal, I'm thinking by now it was legal, and yes, he did. I brought up the fact about growing weed on our property. Okay, once the bill had passed, because at the time this was like 4 years ago, and the bill did not pass in the state of Georgia. Okay, it was on the table in Atlanta. But anyway, that is a good idea. But that marijuana is going to bring a lot of tension in the church, a lot of tension in general, because it generates a lot of money. You can get up to $16 million an acre if you got a good crop of weed. You could do 4 cycles a year. I know because I looked into it. All right, so I know what I'm telling you. But the cycles, they got to be right. It's got to be treated properly. It's got to have a certain temperature, light. It takes a lot of money to invest, and it's got to be like heavily, guarded and fortified and that type of stuff. Okay, uh, you have to have that stuff locked up because people will steal your stuff. See, the thing is, it's nothing wrong, I think, to have that stuff. I think the weed needs to probably be off in another property, and it needs to be probably some discretion, okay, about marijuana, all right, and so forth, because again, that's going to bring a lot of jealousy, again, a lot of strife. Okay, it's going to have people fighting because that's probably going to be the job that that the guys that know what they're doing, that they're going to get paid the most money. I just think that there needs to be a separate business, but I'm just saying the basic crops, there's nothing wrong with that. Now, here's what I want to say. If you, or maybe if the pastor thinks about doing that, maybe I'm saying on how what I would do. Okay, that there has to be a time where there's no church going on, where you can be able to do your crop growing and all that, and farming, but it cannot go on while they have service. Okay, that's the reason why you have the Sabbath and all that. Okay, because it's supposed to be the day of rest. Okay, but particularly on church property. Okay, so all right, they look at Pastor Bryant as a businessman or whatever, false prophet. Okay, well, many prophet, 9 times out of 10, these pastors are businessmen. Okay, I mean, I know plenty of them myself. Okay, they get to where maybe they get a taste of money, 501c3. They get these large churches, and then they get too big for their britches. But we already have enough immorality problems in the church anyway. Okay, it's not a bad idea, but I think that other than the crops, the weed needs to be something separate, and something needs to be probably very, very, discreet. It's all about using discernment here. Okay, so I pray that Pastor Bryant, him being a so-called man of cloth, will do the right thing. But what are your thoughts, ladies and gentlemen? Let me know. All right, in the comments, respectfully, and thank you for your time. Like, subscribe, share, Cash App, $, Winston Spivey, if you want to donate.